You have to give me permission to record.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Babe Bitcoin and Blockchain Evolution Show. We are joined by Maia Naor, who is doing a lot of really exciting things, some of which she can talk about, some of which she is not able to talk about. Very, very hush-hush, which I love. Maia, you're the COO of INX.exchange. So just really to bring people in, let's talk a little bit about who you are and how you got involved in the crypto space.
Okay, so hi, nice to see everyone. Hi. I got involved in this space, I would say, simple act of trying to purchase Bitcoin, and slowly with the right people developed into what we're doing nowadays. I think for us on the team, coming from a financial background, fintech background, looking at ICO fundraising was really kind of jaw-dropping. You know, companies go with so little insight to what's really going on, with almost no, what's the word I'm looking for? No guarantees, no clear plan. And for us, it was really mind-blowing that it's going on this way, and pretty clear that the path that we've seen in other industries, the gaming, Forex, would come here too, which is the regulation. We just don't feel regulators are going to be, letting this situation go on. So
no, the Wild West won't last forever. I mean, and you're exactly right. And
for
so
us,
talk a little bit about that, because you have filed an S1 with the SEC, which is
correct, with the US SEC.
Which is the formal process of going public. So we're not going to be able to get into too many details until that's been approved. So we'll just put that out there now. But you're attempting to open an exchange that will be able to deal with cryptos and derivatives, which means options and maybe futures down the road.
Exactly.
And you're going to come out with at least your own ICO or two to start with. So let's get into that a little bit. I agree with you. You know, we have this decentralized world of crypto where everybody's coming public with their ICO. There may or may not be a team of people behind it. There may or may not be any security behind it, right? These are all the concerns. And that's why, there's only a handful of these exchanges, from Coinbase, from Binance to Polyonics. There's a handful, right, that have gotten some stake in the market, but the market is so fresh and so new. So tell us where you think you can bring, to the market, and what INX will offer. Okay,
so for us, really, you did the recap for me, Matt. I mean, we just don't believe that the landscape can continue as it is, and that it's so big that the regulators just can't ignore it anymore. We aim to be the first regulated exchange because we think, just like you said, the market is so small. Institutionals can't get into the game because they're not going to be, placing their funds on unregulated platforms with unregulated coins. It's just not an option if they want. Even if they want to put a certain share of their portfolio in cryptocurrencies, they just don't have the right platform for it. And I think we see great potential there. When you named actually some of the, of course, the bigger exchanges that are doing well, but for us, the regulated route is the real differentiator. It's for us, it's the only way to go. So in terms of features, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's especially interesting for me coming from the poker space, because I don't know what you guys, how much you know about that, but I'm sure you're aware that, the government came in and just shut down all of these gigantic sites. And it was like, sorry, we took your money, and like, you may or may not ever get it back. So it is terrifying, I think, for a lot of people who have been through that experience to imagine now playing in another game where the same tragedy could come out of it.
Definitely. I mean, I think
it has. Even over the weekend, I think in Japan, the NEO, there was 550 million or so, dollars that were basically wiped out of accounts, and the exchange came out, quickly over the weekend and said, we will reimburse everybody. I don't know what that means or if that's true.
With what reserve fund, with what liquidity fund? Like, correct. Everything is so dark. Yeah, everything is so dark. And I think for people that are coming from the traditional world, it's so clear that major elements are missing in the way the cryptocurrency is run, in terms of, liquidity funds or custodian, or it's just, yep. it's very breached. So that's the route for us.
Tell us about your background in fintech, what you've done that will give give us a view of why you have had some sense of doing this in the past, because I agree with you.
Yeah, well, for me personally, I have 9 years experience at a Forex company. So I've gone through this. I've gone through this in a different industry with the regulator, and I think we have very good experience of how to work with the regulator, what the regulators are looking for, how you report to the regulators. I think it's funny, that in this project we're looking at the regulator as our best friend, because we really believe in this route for longevity. The exchanges you've mentioned are just making crazy amounts of money every day, but we just don't think that can be long lived, and we're really looking at that long run. We know this is the route for us.
It's interesting because it's such a worldwide market, obviously, and Matt's mentioning stuff happening in Japan. And, from a poker background, a lot of what they're having right now is shared liquidity in certain countries, and then other countries are, separate and segregated, if you will, on their own. And then some of those now are coming back together. And you said you're, at this point, most interested in the US market. Do you see this as something that we could potentially regulate on a worldwide scale?
I do. I think, of course, some territories are not open to that idea yet, but it was important for us to go to the US SEC just because it is, the most prestigious, for us, the best place we could have started, really thinking big and thinking and feeling really that we would be welcomed in a way by the regulator, because, wanting to make this difference with us. So we will see how things develop, but that's definitely our anticipation.
Well, one of the big, there's like, what I look at it from a trading perspective, and I see all these arbitrage opportunities, right? But the reality is they're a mirage, because you can't move money from, the buy side to the sell side with, I mean, like you said, I mean, I've got, I've opened up some accounts at a couple of these just to play with it, just to see how difficult it is from somebody who knows what they're doing. And it's extremely difficult. Deposit withdrawal codes and all these things that you have to move. And it's like, if you don't know what you're doing and you put in the wrong number, your money's gone. And
right.
There's nobody to talk to. So, this think like, you're not going to be able to get the masses involved unless you have, some type of, here's the problem, right? It's the centralized, decentralized world, which, the whole idea, I guess, of crypto is it's decentralized, and the whole idea of an exchange is it's centralized. So yes. How do you propose to marry those two situations?
So it's interesting. I can't remember if we discussed this on the call now or just when we were making introductions before, but this was really how we got started with this idea. Was we were just, as individuals trying to purchase Bitcoin, and it was just so unfriendly, so unclear, not a good user experience. And I know some exchanges have, come out and been better at that. But when looking at this arena, it was also going through our minds to, okay, let's be the first exchange that does exactly what you're saying, that gaps that feeling of insecurity, and I don't even know what this code is, really makes it retail friendly. But for us, that was kind of looking at it in a small way, and the bigger way for us was really bringing in those big players. In terms of what you were saying about decentralized versus centralized, for us, you can't. It can't work with the regulator unless clients go through proper KYC procedures, AML. I mean, if you're looking to remain anonymous, the our exchange probably won't be the exchange for you. I mean,
right.
That's classic. I think that's part of the reason you were talking about, people are having a hard time putting money into the exchanges, taking money out, just because you want to be able to work with banks freely. On the exchanges, right. You still have the fiat side. So for us, if we're what's the word, like giving up on some of those players that are looking to stay very, that's something that we'll just have to live with. Yeah.
So you talked, obviously this is not a simple problem that you're trying to solve. So what kind of, where are you guys finding some of your initial backing capital wise, and how are you getting out of the gates with your own ICO? And tell us a little bit about what that ICO or two will be initially for you guys.
So for us up until now, all our funding was out of pocket by the original founders. It was very, very important for us to differentiate ourselves from other ICOs, and as good as we think our idea is, not to just run with a presentation, a white paper, which is no replacement for a real prospectus, a real. That was just not an option for us. That's why we invested our own money going forward to start investing in technology, and most importantly in the legal route, the legal setup and all that infrastructure, working with legal teams and the regulator itself with the SEC. So that's been our two, I would say, prime investments with our funding up until now. And of course, we're looking to move forward with our ICO to establish the remaining funding that we will need for the operations of the company.
Okay, so for those that are unfamiliar with an ICO,
okay.
It is an initial coin offering, but
we are doing our best to always call it RCO, but then people aren't sure what we're talking about. It's a regulated coin offering. So
okay, so your term will be regulated, i.e. through an exchange that is kind of stamped
exactly.
It. This is okay to go. They've got reserves. They've got capital. So your RCO, your regulated offering, what is it around, and can you tell us a little bit about that?
I can't talk too much about the structure of the token, actually, or the use of proceeds, again, because that is part of the prospectus of the F1 filing. But so that'll be kind of hard, but
it's interesting because I think a lot of companies now are using, instead of going the traditional model of getting investment or going public in sort of this older way, I think companies are putting out ICOs, or yours will be an RCO, as a way to build people's investment in their business and company. It seems like an old thing that we've been doing for ages, but in sort of a new
environment.
Model. Yeah,
I totally agree. We really believe in it as an alternative fundraising method. It's just, we can't believe that it's going to be able to continue the way it is with, just marketing whatever companies want to, the general public without certain, structure, format, rules to abide by. So for us, the fundraising idea itself is amazing. It's just like you're saying, it's like bringing this old way of really, launching a company, but with this new tool.
I'm curious,
as long as it's done the right way.
Are you seeing, the institutional side? Are you seeing there are crypto hedge funds now? I always wonder, like, gosh, how do you side both ways of the trade in that situation? I have no idea. So, to your point, if we have a regulated product that's coming out and you can balance books kind of officially, mm-hmm. Have you talked to maybe more traditional funds that say, hey, I would love to put 50 million because I've got $1 billion to work and I can only do increments of 50, let's say, if that's their example, they can only increment 50%, let's say 5% of their funds towards a new idea. Have you approached some of those people, and would they be willing to say, if I had a way to truly buy and sell on a regulated exchange, I would do it tomorrow?
We've definitely had meetings with some big players, and I think the exact sentence was, we need to wrap our head around this. So it's really bringing that, that they want to enter this game, just like you were saying, but couldn't this far, or that, the cryptocurrency world has kind of a, just like what you said, like that it's not clear enough, especially for, I think, traditional traders. The technology behind it isn't clear enough. What is driving the price up and down, that doesn't sit well enough with them. So I think by having this exchange, a tool that gives them a legitimate way to enter, that would really bridge the difference. I mean, so those were kind of the responses that we were hearing. Like, we just need to wrap our head around, okay, now that we have a way to invest our money, it needs to, I guess, like, sit well with them. So it's definitely a work in process. But
so then, are you going out to other crypto companies and saying, list your product on our exchange? Is that going on in the background today? I'm not asking you for specifics. Again, I know you can't give me specifics. But if you truly want to be regulated and somewhat centralized in a decentralized world of crypto, like, I would love if somebody could, can I buy a basket of the coin market cap 100, right? And that's obviously changing every day. How would I go about doing that?
I'm not sure if I'm answering your question directly, but we think that, the more of these classical big names, I don't know if you heard of Mercedes or Kodak, that they're going kind of with this crypto route, they're going to need, what's the word in English? They're going to need a trustworthy, well-backed platform, right, to issue their coins on them. So for us, we also think that, we're going to be one of the only options for companies like that don't want to be, putting their coins up on
give our viewers
platforms.
Give our viewers a flavor, because you just mentioned Mercedes and you mentioned Kodak and Volkswagen. I know mentioned also over the weekend that their CTO is backing an ICO. What this really means, I think, and I don't think people understand, Sarah, this as well as they should, and maybe we can talk about this because this is more macro. What these companies are really talking about is kind of a proprietary software that is secured, and whether it's clean energy or biodiesel for Mercedes, a way for you to capitalize that and then benefit from the security and the technology behind the code that is constantly being improved upon for that purpose.
I think, well, you were talking to Sarah, not me, right?
Well, but
now I realize you said Sarah.
I said Sarah, but I'm talking to the group here, and that, I think this is the big differentiator that people don't understand. Currency is, people get caught. It's like the old, there's an old riddle. A man leaves home, makes 3 left turns. Upon leaving home, what has he just done? They get caught up on the word home. The answer to that riddle is, of course, he hit a home run. If you're from the United States, that means something to you. Yeah. The rest of the world, currency means currency, right? So we're all thinking fiat, as you said, Maia, and we're not talking necessarily about pure fiat here. We're talking about a technology that can, be a transaction, but not necessarily a financial transaction. So this is the thing that I think I want to drive home today, is that we're talking about technology here that is not necessarily fiat all the time, and it's not currency most of the time. So speak to that a little bit, maybe on a macro level.
Well, on the macro level, maybe I'll start for me from a personal level. I think that's what drew me so much to the product. It was just an opportunity to get in at an early, still what I consider an early stage to this world, where really, like you're saying, so many exciting things are happening with this technology, and more companies are realizing how they can utilize it to better their own products. So it's definitely not only on that classical currency side, but I think the reason that our product is, I think, easy to understand is that the blockchain technology is, what we're doing is not a development of the blockchain technology. So we're based on the blockchain technology, but I think, but really the differentiator and what's bringing us forward is the infrastructure and the way things are going to be run. But yeah, all these companies that are finding new and interesting ways to utilize cryptocurrency, big name regulated public companies, are gonna need a place to facilitate their tokens, and I really think INX will be the place.
I'm really curious because I think, anytime you're the pioneer of something, of course, you are the one who's going to be going through the back and forth. You're going to be the one who has to have invested a lot of money, like you're saying, the legal side and these type of things. And when you are the pioneer, there's obviously some benefits to that, but there's also the flip side, which is that now maybe if and when other companies want to follow along in this route, that you've sort of paved the way and taken all the brunt, the older child syndrome, if you will. So do you guys anticipate that there will be sort of a waterfall of people to follow this same model?
I don't think that for a second we think we're going to be alone in this arena for long. I'd expect more and more exchanges to be catching on, for new exchanges coming up to do this from the start, and not go the unregulated route. But even if that happens, we would have been the first to do it. Even if companies will want to go the regulated route today. So some companies, with unregulated history, that's problematic, and the companies that are starting fresh, there's really a lot of hard work and know-how that goes into submitting quality prospectus. And for any company that would be joining the game, still, they would have to go through all that. So yes, I definitely think we're going to be in an industry with competitors. I don't think we'll be the only regulated exchange for long, but we will definitely be the first pioneering exchange to hit the world in that.
Does your location in Tel Aviv, do you think, benefit you as kind of a gateway to East and West?
We're really focusing on the U.S. now. I'm based here, but the company is a Gibraltar company with a U.S. subsidiary. So it's not. I wouldn't say it's the Israeli high-tech angle that's driving it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there is that. I mean, let's get serious. I was so shocked to find out how much technology is coming out of Tel Aviv and coming out of Israel. They really are, I think, the forerunners in some ways at this point of technology.
Is that what you focused on in your vacation here, Sarah? I hope you did also some restaurants and bars and good stuff like that. No, I'm joking. I've worked in this in the fintech industry in Israel for the last 10 years, and yeah, definitely there are amazing people here, amazing drive. I guess it's part of that culture, and very driven. Don't really take no for an answer, and really go for what they believe in. But here we're not. It's going to be a U.S.-based company, and it won't be operated out of Tel Aviv. So different.
So Maia, we've taken enough of your time. I know you're very busy, and we'd like to have you on in the future. So as the S1 proceeds through the SEC, Sarah and I will definitely ask you on when you can give us more flavor. We can talk details. In the meantime, INX.exchange, people can take a look at the website. Any social media, Twitter, anything where we can follow you and kind of what's going on in the background?
Well, the website has been the first to gone up, and we have relevant press releases there, and kind of get to know us. So that's a good place to start.
Okay.
And is it crazy to ask, is there any concept of a timeline? Is that just way too hard to guess at this point?
Since, as far as we know, we're really the first company to submit such a prospectus, it's hard for me to say. But
could be anything.
I'm hoping we're looking at, 3 to 4 months. That's what I'm hoping for, but it's not something, we'll see. We'll have to see how that goes.
Wonderful. I wish you luck. I will be there with my small little bank account trying to get it regulated.
I hope so. It will really be a very transparent experience to be part of, I think, as opposed to a lot of what we're seeing, a lot of things we're seeing now in the market. So it'll be exciting.
Maia, thanks for coming on with us today. I'm super excited for you, and I'm super excited to have an exchange that I would put real money into. And I do mean that in all seriousness. It's I'm just not at a place where I understand it well enough. As a 28-year veteran, I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I would love to trade it, but again, I've got to be able to know that I can trust and have, as you said, regulated reserves, the right way before I'm going to put my money in there. So I think this is a great idea, and I can't wait to see and hear about your success.
Great. Thanks for your support. I hope we'll be out there live soon for you.
Thanks so much. Take care, Maia.
Okay, guys. Thanks. Good night.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.